Kansas City has such a rich musical history, jazz, blues, and now there's a film looking at that history, the present of KC's music and on into the future. Sue Vicory is the president of Heartland Films, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So what motivated you to make a film about jazz here in Kansas City?
I had a conversation with a friend of mine about 6 years ago or so, and she asked if I would be on a board for an arts organization that was starting in Kansas City, and I said I'd been on a lot of boards, but maybe I could make a video for her organization, and we got started almost the next week.
Well, a documentary is usually a passion project. Do you have any ties to musicians here, or?
You know, I hadn't. I'm an R&B lover, and we had some music written for my first film from Bloodstone in Kansas City. And then when I got started into understanding and educating myself about jazz and blues in Kansas City, I'd lived here 25 years, but I learned almost from the beginning and from scratch all the information pieces that are in the film.
What did you learn about jazz here?
Well, I learned, first of all, that what's going on in Kansas City is about jazz and blues, and our musicians that are currently playing all over town, the talent is just through the roof to begin with. But it originates, of course, in New Orleans, made its way up the Mississippi to Chicago, New York, and Kansas City back in the 20s.
Kansas City.
So was it all about the people? Did you love meeting these musicians?
I fell in love with them, absolutely. We did about 40 interviews, and people I'd never even heard of that have been playing Kansas City for decades.
Okay, so people can see this film in Kansas City tomorrow night, and then there's a big party afterwards.
That's right.
Tell us about what the screening is going to be like for you to see the film and then have musicians sitting in the audience watching the film.
We feel extremely honored. The people that are in the film, we've invited everybody to the screening, and then we're going to have a Q&A afterwards. It's going to be moderated by Chuck Haddock, who is sort of an expert historian here in town. And then we're going to have an open jam afterwards at the after party, and Herman Mahari's group is going to be playing at that.
So what does that mean, open jam? Anyone can come?
All musicians in Kansas City are invited to it. It's at the Glenwood, as we will say, for the film festival, and bring an instrument, bring your voice, and join in.
Okay, now you're a big proponent of women in film. Tell us why you're so passionate about the organization.
You know, in 2006, I won an award from Women in Film in LA. It was an Emerging Filmmaker Award for my first film on homelessness. So I've been on the board of Kansas City Women in Film and TV for 5 years before I moved to Southern California. So very committed and passionate about women and their opportunities to make film in Kansas City and everywhere.
Why is there a need for an organization like that promoting women to tell their stories?
I think part of it is mentoring, and that's a big part of what the organization does. I was mentored, and therefore I then pay it forward and mentor other young women. So it's just a giving, paying forward type of thing at all times.
Okay, well, people can see your film tomorrow night, all part of KIF, the Kansas International Film Festival, and that's Thursday night, the 11th at 7:30 p.m. And afterward is when you'll have the jam session, and people can come out, musicians can come out, and also just people that have not a musical skill.
Sure. Yeah, come and learn about the jazz
music
and blues of Kansas City, and pay tribute to the musicians that are currently playing.
And it's great also that people can meet the filmmaker, they can meet you, and meet the musicians as well.
Yes, it's going to be amazing.
Well, Sue, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it, and we'll see you tomorrow night.